We've seen prices for everything go up recently, and that's because of the RAM shortage. The Steam Deck is just the latest casualty when it comes to how expensive things are getting. It was a little while ago I put out a video because Valve had run out of OLED Steam Decks. Well, okay, they didn't run out of OLED Steam Decks. They ran out of RAM that goes into the OLED Steam Decks, which made them have to say, okay, we're out of stock right now. And because they ran out of stock, a lot of people were speculating, okay, what's going to happen? Are they going to raise the price? And the answer to that question is yes and no. It's weird. Just to make sure that everybody watching is on the same page, the Steam Deck came out 4 years ago, and when it did, it launched with its lowest price at $400. The most expensive Steam Deck at the time was $650. Now, at this time, there were no OLED Steam Decks. So there were just 3 different versions of the LCD Steam Deck. There was the cheap one at $400, and then the more expensive one at $650. And the difference between them was basically how much storage you got and how glossy the screen was. Fast forward a little while, and Valve introduced the OLED Steam Deck, which took its place at the top of the pricing structure, and basically they knocked everything else down and dropped the cheapest version of the Steam Deck. But there was still a $400 version available. It was just a nicer version than the original $400 Steam Deck. And because of the RAM shortage, it looks like we're actually going to start seeing prices for the Steam Deck increase depending on where you live. I found this over at tomsguide.com. It says the stultifying RAM crisis has already made Steam Deck consoles intermittently available. That's when they were out of stock, like I told you before. But it's also going to cause prices to increase. Komodo, the official distributor of the Steam Deck in Japan and other Asian countries, recently announced a 100, this is, they're translating different currencies to dollars, but roughly $100 price increase for the Steam Deck, specifically Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. And they're going to start seeing those prices go up on March 6th. So if they are available in any of those countries and you're waiting to get your Steam Deck, you want to buy it right now because the price is about to go up $100. Now, some of you probably noticed that this is not the NerdNest. This is actually my hotel room. I'm out of town today. I had no plans to do any work, and because of that, I didn't bring my nice camera or my nice microphone, and that's why this video doesn't look as good as it usually does. It doesn't sound as good as it usually does. I'm recording this on my phone in a very echoey room, so I'm going to clean it up as best I can. I apologize for the quality. That said, I would really appreciate it if you check out the sponsor of today's video.
This episode is brought to you by TomTalk. If you're watching this, then there's a good chance that you have a handheld gaming PC. These things are not cheap. You've spent a lot of money on it. It's time to take protecting your gaming investment seriously. TomTalk makes protective cases for all kinds of devices like the Steam Deck and the Xbox Ally X, and more. TomTalk cases are slim and form-fitting, so protecting your handheld doesn't mean adding too much bulk. They're compact and they have a sturdy handle. The hard shell case is splash-resistant, so it can safeguard your system against drops, bumps, and water splashes without being heavy and feeling like a brick. In fact, they weigh just 0.7 pounds. The interiors are precision molded with custom cutouts to prevent pressure on the sticks and shoulder buttons. This gives your device a snug fit inside the case, which is great because that means that your system isn't rattling around in there. So if you have a handheld that needs protecting, protect it with TomTalk. Use the link in the description to get yours today. Now, back to the show.
And then more recently, Valve decided to no longer sell the LCD Steam Deck. Now, there's a couple of reasons that this could be true. Maybe they decided that $400 for the Steam Deck was too inexpensive, meaning that they were going to lose too much on that because the price of the parts that go into that have gone up and up and up. So Valve discontinued the LCD Steam Deck. The other reason might be because they just ran out of the parts that they had ordered for the LCD panels, and so they decided we don't need that anymore. Effectively, the price of the cheapest Steam Deck has gone up from that $400 until, actually, I can't remember how much the cheapest Steam Deck is right now. So let me look that up. Yeah, okay. The cheapest Steam Deck that you can get right now is $550, and the most expensive one is still $650, depending on where you live, and also depending on whether or not you can get one. So let's talk real quick about exactly what's happening here. Number one, AI data centers, which is how you can make pictures of a poodle playing volleyball with Tom Cruise. Those data centers are buying up every DRAM wafer that they can get their hands on. I think I saw a report a couple of months ago of OpenAI buying up like 900,000 DRAM wafers per month. And because they're buying up all of the stock, the law of supply and demand says that, guess what? The price has to go up. There's less supply out there now, and the people who want it a lot. And because they want it a lot, that justifies raising the price. So the price of RAM has doubled depending on what region you're in and exactly what it is that you're looking for. Basically, anything that has RAM in it is going to be getting more expensive. And not, you know what? No, it's not going to be getting more expensive. It is more expensive. Pretty much everything is more expensive now. And because prices for RAM have gone up so much, Valve is having trouble sourcing that RAM to build their Steam Decks, which is why the Steam Deck is actually out of stock. No matter how much you pay, you cannot buy one from Valve depending on where you are. As of when I'm recording this, the Steam Deck is currently unavailable in Germany, Austria, Poland, France, and several other EU countries, as well as Canada and the United States. I saw some articles yesterday that said it was back in stock, but as soon as I went to SteamDeck.com, it said out of stock. If it's in stock in your country or out of stock in your country, let us know in the comments down below. I'm just really curious where you can actually get one right now. And anybody who's been watching this channel for a while now, which covers computer hardware, video game news, and a weekly podcast, check it out if you haven't, you guys already know that the Steam machine and the Steam frame also have not had a good time due to the AI RAM shortage. Because what's happening is, they can't get the RAM for the Steam Deck. They can't get the RAM for the Steam frame. They can't get the RAM for the Steam machine. And because of that, Valve had to delay, although some would argue that it's not a delay, but Valve had to delay the launch of the Steam frame and the Steam machine until the first half of the year. Originally, they had said it was coming out in the early 2026, and then they made an announcement that it was coming out in the first half of 2026, which I count as a delay. I've got a whole video about this if you want to check it out. It's linked down below. And it isn't even just Valve running into these issues. NVIDIA has basically stopped making their newest cards and gone back to making their older cards that have less RAM. I think we saw the Lenovo Legion Go 2 go from an asking price of $1,350, which was already really expensive for a gaming handheld, all the way up to now $1,850. That is a really large price increase. So it's not just Valve that's running into this. We've also seen price increases from Microsoft, price increases from Sony, and there's plenty of rumors swirling around whether or not Nintendo is about to raise prices on the Switch 2 as well. And when I was reading about this, I was scrolling through Reddit and I saw this one post by Blue Wave 2020. They said it's only a matter of time before this hits the US and Europe. And right now, you can't get a Steam Deck in US and Europe. And maybe that's because Valve does not want to raise the price in those regions. When you look at the Steam Deck, one of the things that everybody always says about the Steam Deck is it's cheaper than all of the other PC handhelds out there. If Valve raises the price, I mean, it might still be the cheapest option, but it's not going to be as cheap, and that makes it not as attractive. So I can see this definitely being a case of they're out of stock, and when they come back into stock, they're going to be more expensive than they were before. Will it be $100 more expensive? That I'm not sure about. Companies can usually do things different in different countries based on how big their user base there is, and also how easily it is to shift things around from country to country in their supply chain. And just to illustrate that they can do different price increases in different countries, there's this data table that I found that says in Japan, the OLED 512 gig is going up 17%. The OLED 1 terabyte is going up 15%. In Taiwan, however, the OLED is going up less than 1%, and the OLED 1 terabyte is going up just 2.3%. So different countries are going to see different increase in prices. And this just goes to show that the Steam Machine and the Steam Frame are in real trouble. Because Valve is raising the price of the Steam Deck, they're absolutely 100%. They're going to have to raise they can't raise the price because they never announced the price, but they can raise the price beyond what they originally had planned on pricing it at. So if they originally had planned on pricing the Steam Machine at $650, which was my original guess as to how much that device was going to cost, if they have to raise that price up to say $750, that is a painful thing for them because the Steam Machine is already fairly weak hardware, especially when you compare it to current, like it's about even with current gen consoles if estimates are to be believed. So because of that, the longer that they wait, or the more expensive that it gets, the harder it's going to be to justify buying a machine like the Steam Machine, even if some people like myself are interested in getting it, not necessarily because of the bang for its buck, but because it's small, it's indiscreet, and it goes in your entertainment center and it's really, really quiet, so you can have the same gaming experience that you have at your desk in your living room. That is what I'm willing to pay for, but I think that there's a lot of people that only care about how powerful a machine is. And if that's the case, then the Steam Machine has never been for you, no matter what the price is. So with prices going up everywhere, I think that there's a lot of people who are looking at devices like the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Deck, and the Steam Controller, and they're starting to look at that stuff and saying, I don't know if I can justify buying this thing right now, especially when it's more expensive than it really should be, thanks to AI data centers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and obviously not from the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.